Alright guys, welcome back. So when you start your account, you can spend money to summon on these banners. But if you want to do it free to play, what you have to do is you have to get your banner level to level 6. Once you get your banner level to level 6, you can then actually spend diamond currency on these banners. I've done it free to play. If you're wondering why I'm so far ahead of you lot, and I get that question a lot already, is because I've been playing the beta for the last 2 months. And for the last 2 months, the only banner available for us was Barn. So this, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like what they've done here. And what they've done is they've made Barn's banner last 6 days. So if you are free to play and you are someone starting the game, basically, you have to try and get to level 6 summons, which I think takes about 3 to 4 days to do if you're like actually grinding to get to level 6. And then when you get to level 6, you then have to spend the next 2 days available left to try and get as much Barns as possible, which is... Yeah, they did that on purpose, and the reason why they did that on purpose is because Barn is the better character. The reason why Barn is so good is because he has got this ability in the game that no other character, at least to my knowledge right now, that does these skills, which basically has a chance to restore energy. The energy is what you use to use ultimates when you're fighting bosses in the game. So he's literally not only the best DPS in the game, but also one of the best supports because he's giving your whole team more energy, meaning you're getting more ultimates off, meaning you're doing more in the game, and also as well, he has got the snatch ability, which decreases the final attack by 15%, which means they are doing less damage towards you. That is why Barn is so good. Best DPS, really good support as well. Where someone like Melly, for example, he's a bit of a selfish DPS. What he already does is reduces his own cooldowns and also increases his crit chance and also his actual attack speed, which is in comparison towards these two, Barn is by far the better character. Because like I said, there is no substitute for him. No one does what he does. Where someone like Meliodas, for example, you can just use Cain and be fine with it. I'm not gonna lie. I have some testing. We'll do it now, actually. But let's just go through it, actually. So if we go into a game right now, this is the final Grey Demon, the big green boss you want to go up against, where you want to bring red characters. You will see right now, I'll bring Meliodas, who's 3-star, and also Cain, who is 9-star. And just so you know, 3-star legendary characters have stats similar towards 8-star uniques. So technically speaking, Cain should be a little bit above Meliodas in stat-wise, at least from what they say in the actual patch notes. So if we start right now, let's go through and see the actual damage numbers. You will see right now, from my testing, Barn does obviously a lot more because it's Barn. But if you compare both Cain and also Meliodas, it's very, very close. Melly always beats Cain because Melly is the better DPS here. I want to stress that. Melly is definitely better than Cain, right? It's just, once again, in this situation, why would I spend 80,000? Why would I spend 165,000 crystals to get a character that does very similar damage? You can see right there. Now, I will say, Melly has got the opportunity to be a lot better later on because of his actual critting ability. I'll go through that later on in a second. But just in general terms, Melly and Cain are very, very similar when they go up against characters that are actually green, right? Type advantage. However, when Meliodas is obviously a lot better is when you go up against characters that actually aren't green, right? So you don't have type advantage because if you don't know what Cain's abilities do, and the reason why Cain is so good in like a, green boss fight is his actual abilities literally just say, I do more damage towards green characters. This skill does more damage towards green. This skill right here, once again, does do more damage towards green characters. So if we go up against a boss right now, it's almost the same team in a way, right? We go up against a boss who is, I believe, blue right now, actually, where it's type disadvantage, right? The numbers aren't even close. You'll see right now, Melly does so much more because Cain just doesn't work. Cain's abilities are all about dealing more damage towards, obviously, greens. So since Cain doesn't work and Melly is all about buffing up himself, he does way, way more. So in that situation, it's just more of, like I said, a luxury pick. If you don't want to keep on switching out Cain towards another DPS character, then you're better off getting Melly, because Melly's just going to do a lot more, right? You can see the damage is like almost double now. We're on like 60 million, where Cain is on 30. Literally double the damage against other characters that aren't actually green. But like I said, that doesn't mean you have to summon for Meliodas, because what you can do is just take off Cain, put in a character that does do more damage towards greens, someone like Reinhardt, for example, and then boom, you now got a really good green DPS, or you can bring down the Meliodas. So that's kind of what I mean by luxury pick. If you're someone who doesn't want to keep on swapping their team every single time you go up against a boss, just get Meliodas and you'll do pretty good against every single color in the game. But I do think the reason why he does so well right now is because I am 2 months into the game. What does that mean? That means I've gotten a few of my sacred treasures that give me a few more crit chances, for example, and also I've maxed out my research lab a little bit more than what you lot are giving me right now. So my crit chance for melee is actually pretty good, to where, you know what, he's actually going to do a lot of critting, he's going to do a lot more damage. So melee for right now for you lot may not be the best character to summon for, because once again, you're not going to have the highest crit rate, your account is not really built up to where you can kind of maximize him. But if you want to get him now and then use him later on because you're going to get a better account, that's a lot better too. Also, your constellation, you can see my red characters, because I've leveled it up a little bit here, has like extra 3% crit rate. My point is, melee is going to get a lot better if you summon for him right now, as long as you build up your account in the next few weeks and months of playing, because he's going to get more crit chance, which means he does more damage. I'm going to test him out in the actual dungeon here, because normally Cain does do a lot of damage, because Cain has a lot of AoE damage. So I want to test him melee in this one. Alright, let's see. I imagine he might be better, but for Cain's ultimate, when he does a massive fireball, he has like a lot of AoE damage, right? So let's check damage multipliers here. See, mod, obviously insane. Right now, Cain is doing actually a lot more, because I think melee's damage is obviously good, but he hasn't got a lot of AoE damage. It's more like single target. There's some AoE to it, but as you can see, he's not keeping up. So, once again, in this situation, melee's not going to be best, which is like, in that logic, right? Like, that's what I mean by, like, I don't think melee is worth it for a lot of people. You're not really getting much out of him that you can't already replace on other characters. So to wrap up today's video, is it worth summoning? No, I don't think so. I think if you are a whale and if you're playing the open beta for the last 2 months, I do think it's worth summoning at least to 8,000 to get towards 3-star, because he actually is really, really good. But I think right now, when starting your account, just focus on leveling up your summon levels and saving currency to where when you can fully do a full rotation by having 160,000 gems, you know, save that for a Gopher, a Merlin. You can imagine those 2 characters that will probably likely come next would probably be a lot better in terms of supporting your team rather than being a selfish DPS that can be replaced in a lot of different situations. Because like I said, like right now, like I said, the reason why Barnes so good is because he has that chance to restore energy. I can see Gopher doing that. I can see Gopher being sort of like a big buffer where there might be finally a good substitute towards Barn, for example. But then also, I guess the big one, and I imagine will come out probably likely next month or, you know, sometime soon, right, is Escanor. Escanor is going to be the one a lot of people are going to want to summon for. So I think for you lot, if you're starting off right now, don't feel pressured to summon for Meliodas, but do feel pressured to summon for Barn, because, yeah, you do not want to miss this guy. What I will say is, though, is that they are in the general pool anyway, so even if Barn's step-up banner does leave, it doesn't mean it can't return later, but also as well, you can put him while just doing your general summons anyway. I know myself, and I know I'm very lucky in the situation, I have pulled Barn the most out of any other character in the game, even unfeatured, because I don't know why, but even my guaranteed SSR, I just keep getting Barn. Watch my last summon video, I pulled Barn like 4 or 5 times. I just keep getting him. And if I need to go over some teams, and also the reason why Melee is a lot better than Cain in many different ways, is because he is a 7 deadly sin. So he works with literally the best buffer in the game, that being, you know, King, who buffs up the final attack of obviously his blue characters, but also 7 deadly sin. So very, very good for Melee. But since Melee is all about buffing up his crit chance, having King along with him, increasing his crit damage, which, you know, Cain doesn't get that. Cain doesn't get these buffs, and he's still able to compete. Which is one thing I want to point out. Despite Melee doing just a bit better in a lot of different situations than Cain, that's also because he had the buff with King, where Cain didn't have that. So yeah, like I said, Cain is a really good substitute if you don't want to pull Melee. Just focus on leveling up King, because he does the job if you are good up against characters that actually are green. But honestly, I'm glad Melee is the way he is, because, well, that adds some value now towards Elet. There are a few characters in the game, and I'll talk about them later on in probably my tier list video, but like Liz and also like Elaine, and I think a few others as well, they're not good right now because they don't have a full red team or green team or blue team, whatever they want to buff up, right? Where Elet didn't have any real use, really speaking, but now because Melee's a buff character, her actual ultimate, giving more crit chance, is actually pretty good. So now it has added a lot of more use towards Elet, which I do actually very, very much like. If you don't have Elet and you want to use a melee buffer, what you can do is actually use, I think it's Helbram. Yeah, Helbram does level 4 7 60% crit chance buff on a tier 2. A lot worse, but you know, it's a good substitute for free to play in a way. So, yeah, guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. Once again, don't feel pressured to summon for Meliodas. I don't think he's necessarily worth it unless you're a Mega 1, you want to go crazy. If you want to just, you know, summon until like the halfway pity and get him towards 3.5 stars, he actually is at a very good point there. That's what I'd be using him at, and he actually is very, very good. You definitely don't need to go all the way, but if you had to summon in one banner, definitely prioritize Barn if you are able to do that, because like I said, he's only out for like next 6 days, and after that he is gone. Or at least for the rate up. You can still pull him later on. And at that point, it's fine. Just start saving for the next big characters. Like I said, Escanor or maybe even Esterosa, Zeldris. I imagine we're going to start getting towards Season 2 content and get those characters instead. So, but guys, thank you for watching this video. If this video did help out, then help me out by leaving a like and subscribing if you are new. And yeah, peace.